and I'm going to introduce Tony, who's our lead developer from Annertech. And Tony's going to talk about the accessibility tools we've got available in LGD and also how they're changing. And we're going to run a short poll after Tony's sort of shared what's been happening. We'll have a little discussion about that as well. Hiya, Tony.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk about the Sally module and the editorially module, and a few other, perhaps touch on a few other tools. I suppose the first thing to say about this is that as a developer kind of working in the core team, I'm a bit of a novice with using these tools myself, and these are brand new into the project. So I've been finding out what they can do as I show you. So I made a couple of newbie mistakes right off the bat when I was setting up. So the first one is that we get some reporting with editorially, and I didn't see any reports. So the first thing that happened was I debugged it. Why aren't I seeing any kind of results or reports? And the answer was that there wasn't anything to report. So our demo content showed up pretty clean. So that was kind of the first thing. So one of the things I'm going to do is make a kind of list of gotchas and things like that, and how to check that those things are working. The other thing is big credit to Mark Conroy, who set up these modules. So we're moving to our projects to Drupal.org. At the moment, we have them on GitHub that people can install. But one of the things we're thinking about is we have Sally at the moment in microsites, but we're thinking about what the different tools do, whether there's a case for having both of them. I'm leaning towards editorially, but I'll try and show the difference. They're very similar, but we're trying to figure out how to include them in the project by default, what settings we want, and that kind of thing. So I won't go into detail about those things, but I'll certainly touch on them. So if I share screen. So I'm starting here with the project page for editorially, which we have a wrapper for this, which configures it for LocalGov Drupal. This is the module that anybody can install on a Drupal site. So on the page here is some really handy documentation about what tests are included. At this point, Sally and editorially behave very similarly. So I just run through a few things. So one is image alt text. Not only figuring out whether there's some alt text included or if it's missing, but being clever, a bit more clever about whether that alt text is valuable. So whether it's very long. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to flag very short one-word alt text. So you know that there's kind of more of a discovery journey for me to go on with some of these things from an accessibility perspective. Image of or photo of is redundant, so it will tell you if you have those things, and then whether a similar thing, whether links text is meaningful. So it should point out if you have a click here link, that sort of thing. And then the other thing that's really useful is semantic structure. So if you go from an H2 to an H5 because you want a small heading, semantically that's not accessible. So these modules will flag that up to you. And then, yeah, a few other things, but they're all listed here on this module page. what's different between editorially and Sally is editorially has some reports. I'll try to show you in a moment. Sally doesn't have any reporting, so as far as I know, what you see on the page you're working on doesn't get stored anywhere for you to kind of have an overview of the problems. You're just working on that page and then fixing issues. And then features that Sally has that editorially doesn't have is color contrast checking and some readability checking. And readability isn't something that I've explored yet, but this is a great, really in-depth page that's quite worth reading about what these, the tools that are available in these modules. There's the Sally page, and we have a LocalGov Sally project as well on GitHub at the moment. That is a wrapper that just sets this up. So let's show you, well, I suppose, first of all, kind of how similar these tools are on the front end. This one is Sally, and it's worth saying as well, it is possible, although perhaps not recommended, to install both of these and have both Sally and editorially. One thing that we can do is we have the pop-up in the bottom right of the screen here. With both modules, we can move the around the page to have them on the left if we prefer. Or we might have other things like cookie banners and things like that getting in the way. So those things are configurable. And in editorially configuration, we also have the option to say never overlap this this particular wrapper. So that's quite useful as well. So Sally and both of these modules will highlight problems on the page. So we get an overview widget, and on the page it will highlight both the headings and then possible issues. So this one says assistive technologies already indicate that this is an image, so image may be redundant. So this is where we have the alt text here set to image of family. And then as I said, out of the box, this is something that I had to break for the reporting tool to flag it. Out of the box, these are all green ticks from the content that I looked at. When I saved the page, we got this alert to say that the content's been updated, and Sally here flags that up as a potential color contrast issue. So that's a useful feature that's not in editorially, but we're probably checking our contrast with other accessibility tools as well. So perhaps that's not something that that we need. Ideally, from just a complexity point of view, having both installed is probably not the most ideal scenario. And then if I show you what we get with editorially, we get a little pop-up widget, and this I quite like, because whereas Sally won't scroll, we can see in our report here a list of all our images and the alt text that's displayed, and we can we can jump to that section of the page, which is quite handy. And I think this is all subjective, but I think this is a little bit easier to read and see what's going on. So we get an overlay here of the alt text, and again, this is the same issue here that I had to break. This gets for editorially, this gets sent to the report that I'll show you in a second. One of the things that we can do here is dismiss these issues. So we can mark it as okay or ignored. And then in our reports, that will update so that it won't keep flagging as an issue. So as you go around the site in editorially, this section gets this populated. So it's just under reports and then content accessibility. There's another one that's appeared from when I was just browsing. So we can see here the pages with the most issues that we need to give some attention to. And then we also can see by category of issue, what's the most common, and then new issues as well. So that's this is really handy. We also get dismissed alerts where we'd see all those things that we said were okay. So here's, as I say, for a lot of these things, the tools behave in a similar way. Here's some more stuff that I broke so that we could see it with the accessibility checkers. So it's querying these because we've got an H1 heading followed by an H3, followed by an H2, followed by an H4. So this is in the wrong order and it's flagging up to us to say, go and check that. Just to give you a quick look at the settings forms, we don't have that many kind of boxes, but we do have places where we can specify things for Sally. So we can ignore regions of the page. This is useful. Let's say we want our editors not to be alerted to issues with the footer because they're not content issues that they can fix. We could say ignore issues in the footer, that sort of thing. With editorially, we get more controls. So we can turn off specific tests if we think that they're not useful. And then we also get, I haven't explored these yet, but we get a lot more kind of control over configuring how things look. And then somewhere here is a setting to specify whether you want that box on the left or the right, which is obviously quite handy depending on what else you have on your page. So that kind of wraps up that little walkthrough of Sally and editorially and what they both do. So do we have any questions on what we've looked at so far?
Thanks, Tony. Alistair, did you want to come in with a question?
Yeah, just I mean, I know Sally is just it's a bookmarklet, but editorially, is that, how do you install that? Is that how would you get that if you wanted to use it?
It's a case of installing the module, which LocalGov. So this is the LocalGov editorially module that we've just used, and I believe just on Tuesday we've now included it in the profile. So you will get that.
Yeah, but it's not been released yet. So the next
hasn't been released. Okay, it'll be in.
Have it in. Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be in the next one. At the moment, so you could ask a developer to compose or require this project. It's in alpha, and I expect that we will do some configuring of settings over the coming weeks and months, just to tweak what's turned on and how things appear. All I did to get this to work was to require the module in my project and then enable it, and then it works out of the box. This will configure some permissions as well, but you might want to tweak those.
Okay, yeah.
Cool, thanks, Alistair. I'm just scrolling up the chat. There was a question that I wanted to bring in. I think Javik had a question about can both tools be spun up in Drupal Forge, LGD Drupal Forge at all? I think I know the answer, but Tony, you probably do know the answer.
Finn might know better than I because he's played with it more, but I think yes, you could.
Yeah, you should be able to enable anything in Drupal Forge.
Yeah.
You have access to the command line through the editor in the browser, so you can do composer, require, and add any module off Drupal.org to test it.
That's very good. Good to hear. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Nova, hello.
When we were watching the demonstration, the list of kind of issues that can potentially show up when somebody's adding content. So it's got, heading structure, all that sort of thing. I'm just thinking kind of about, if we're allowing other departments to sometimes add their own content, like for example, ClickComs are going to be adding news items. It just might need kind of a bit more training that's given to everybody before they start even working on it. So can I get just so I can sort of start looking at training documents? Is there any kind of guidance anywhere about what is displayed, what people will be, what issues are shown?
So at the moment, I don't think that we have any of that information in the docs, but it sounds like that would be a useful thing to do to take.
Yeah. Okay, well maybe I'll just have to do it from, if we get it built into the, like Javik says, into Forge where we can test it out.
So we do have this kind of handy reference that would make for quite a nice starting point for our docs.
Quite a lot of that is quite beyond the average person who might be potentially doing content.
Yeah.
Within our team, I think we're all going to be fine, but outside of that, I'd be a bit worried. So we're definitely going to need, that I would say is a really good list to start with. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure we have some resources about what these mean and how to fix them. So probably another handy task for us to do is just to gather those together and put those alongside the tools.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nova.
Oh, thanks, Nova.
Thank you. I'll lower my hand.
Cheers. Sanjeev writes, we try to aim for a reading age of 9, often receiving copy age 18+. We use a widget provided by SiteImprove to help tell us the reading age. It would be great to see how this tool measures the reading age, or whether it does or not.
Yeah, it's not something that I played with yet. Well, let's explore it.
Whoa, live demo. Okay, I'll let you have a little look, and then I will scan through other questions. This also sort of maybe a similar question from Ryan. Editorially is definitely the one to go with. We're going to poll that and see what people think.
Yeah, let's not preempt it.
I'm glad you're on board. That's good. How much scope is there to modify it? I'm thinking if a page is flagged for issues, and someone wouldn't be allowed to publish the page unless they have admin rights. So I guess that's sort of.
Yeah,
Is that permissions? Maybe do you want to come in, Ryan? What are you asking here about? Change people's permissions for it, or?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, no. So, for example, say I'm just say I'm a content designer, so I've only got obviously those lower level permissions. I go in, I've created a new page, or I've made a lot of updates to a page, and then editorially runs and shows me all the errors. It would be good if they weren't able to publish that page straight away, so it could only go into like draft or review. But yeah, if they did have, this is on the basis that they did have publishing rights, that they weren't allowed to publish because of the issues that have been flagged by the tool.
So I don't think that it does it out of the box, but we are storing those things. So it sounds like something that would be possible down the line, theoretically.
Okay.
So what we can do, these modules are in the Drupal ecosystem. So what I'll do is I'll have a look through the issue queue and see what's on the roadmap and whether there's anything like that, and we can create a feature request if for things like that we think might be a good idea.
Ryan, are you using workflow module in LocalGov Drupal workflows? And so you're thinking it would sort of somehow plug into that?
Yeah, we're not using it yet. It's something.
Okay.
It's on our roadmap at some point.
The issue I suppose the issue would be that you wouldn't want to be blocked necessarily from updating something in a timely fashion because of because of an accessibility issue necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, for something like obviously the headings and alt text, if that's flagged, then really they should be able to do that, go back and do those ones quickly. I guess, yeah, if it's a bit more complex than that, then yeah, I can understand that. But then I guess that's where, if you're able to create that exception, so only admin users can go in and then obviously override that publishing block, if you will, then that's a way around that, because then that person would have to tell them, okay, I know there's issues on this page, but it really needs to go out. Can you just publish it? Whereas if it's just normal updates, then yeah, I think it should be. I think they should be blocked from putting out inaccessible content, to be honest. And if this can help, then yeah, that'd be great.
It sounds like we need to create an issue for this as a sort of feature or extension to editorially.
Yeah, I'll follow up and I'll just see what's there in the issue queue already.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan. Tony, I know I ended up asking you another question there, but did you want to have a look at what was the thing we were looking at? Oh yeah, reading age. Or should we come back to that?
Yeah, I haven't played with it, so I don't know how to. As I said, the problem that we have is that a lot of our stuff has excellent accessibility thanks to our accessibility team and everybody's kind of input. So in order to find a problem, I had to break it.
Mm-hmm. But do you know if editorially tests for reading age?
Editorially does not test for readability. Sally says that it does, but I haven't played with it.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look. So there was another question from Nova about, can we set generic link text that we don't want to be used? So I think that's about, can you customize the rule set, which Maria says you can. Yeah. I think I saw that on the settings.
There's certain people that use just phrases that aren't descriptive. He's kind of added more words to the link text, but they still don't tell the user where it goes. And I keep going backwards and forwards with this, but yeah, if we can have something set up that phrase is not allowed, that would be amazing. If we can add our own, basically. then that's amazing.
I think that's not something you can do through the UI at the moment, but I do know it is possible to do. So,
right.
so I think we need to set up some how to add these as an example, or maybe extend the UI so that people can do it through the UI.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Maria. Is there anything on editorially, etc. people want to ask? If not, I haven't forgotten about Louise's question, so hopefully Louise is still here. But I'm going to come on to that because that's actually the second part of what Tony was going to talk about today. But before we do that, I'm going to run a poll. So Tony, if you stop sharing, this will work fine, folks. So yes. So I'm just loading up Mentimeter in Zoom. If you're at the last community meetup, you will have seen this, and you should have some kind of way to say, yes, I want to join the Menti. Alrighty, let's go. Okay, so we've just got 2 questions, very simple. There we go, next slide. So which of these tools that you're seeing would be useful for LGD? Sally, editorially, or both? Sort of what we were thinking. That's good to see. We've got 24 people on there, 16 have voted so far. Anyone who's voted both, is there a particular thing that you saw in Sally that you thought this would be really useful to have that editorially didn't do?
Readability and the fact that it does color contrast. I think they were the 2 things that editorially doesn't do, if I'm right.
Thanks, Rona. Was that right, Tony? That was a good summary.
As far as the documentation says, who knows what lurks beneath the surface.
So there's a possible world where you could have both, right, Tony?
Yeah. So Javik says, does it not make it harder to maintain versions and updates moving forward if you have both? So there, yes, is the answer. There is a bit of an overhead, but if people will find value in it, then it seems feasible.
And Mark's sort of response to that is color contrast is probably something that should be handled by the dev team rather than a content editor issue.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But was color contrast, the other one was readability. Yeah. Where we have the ability to change these things, which we have in microsites, maybe it's handy for editors to be able to see those things to alert dev teams and design teams. Cool. Anything you want to ask on this, Tony, or should I move on? No. Seems like editorially is popular, both would be useful, and then yeah, it's about what's sort of missing. So I'm going to come on to the next question. The reason for this next question, also, to be honest, sort of the reason how this came about was partly because Maria mentioned that this work was going on, but it was also a question that Javik posted in Slack about site improve and like what tools people are using and whether it's good and the sort of pros and cons of like various third-party tools for testing. Obviously, site improve does loads of stuff, but it does do accessibility. So we might do a standalone session on this, but we're kind of curious to hear what tools or products you're using to test for accessibility. We've heard various ones. There'll be a lot. Silktide, we kind of imagine there's going to be a load that come up that are very common. I'm imagining HTML code sniffer. So site improve is getting quite a lot. Axe, yeah. Andy. I don't know Andy. Who's Andy? Oh, is that no? Accessibility Insights. That's not Andy, is it? Lighthouse. Not many for Lighthouse, actually.
Maybe Andy is just somebody that gets used to test accessibility.
Aha, Maya, thank you. Accessibility testing tool. Sorry, I haven't opened up the full chat there. Okay. Did you write that, Maya? Is that something you use?
No, I haven't wrote it, but it's something that's very universal. Like auditors use them. It is a very fast tool in a sense. Like you don't have to go to the code a lot of times. It gives you what you need. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Site Improve is getting a fair amount. Lighthouse actually in the end has been the most popular, I would say, if I can judge the word cloud correctly.
Aaron, I'm going to put my hand up. That was me putting in Lighthouse, but like 50 times to see if you could rig the election, and it looks like I can. So you can. I'm probably the only person that said Lighthouse, and you can put that down now as.
Are you paid by Lighthouse?
No, I just you said only one person using it, so I thought, oh, I wonder can I put 50 people to use it? And
okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh dear. Thanks for rigging it. You're running my data, the cleanliness of my data here, Mark. Tony, any thoughts on this? I'm sort of wondering, part of the question here was like, do we want to do a sort of more standalone session about the different tools people use? And Javik, you might want to come in on your question that you asked the other day, because you were asking about Site Improve, which I think is quite expensive, and whether to go with it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have it until March next year, and for now, obviously, I'll stick with it. There's people in the team that use it every now and then, looking at the audit logs. Not many people log in, and if they do log in, it's looking at certain things or certain tasks. But I feel like once we move to LGD, some of those actions naturally would be superseded by Drupal. So it's in the back of my mind, but for now, I'd be neutral.
Okay. Does anybody else have any thoughts on Site Improve, whether it's worth the money or they use it a lot?
Hi, I'm Sanjeev from Kensington Chelsea Council. We use we pay a five-digit sum for it, so it's not cheap. We kind of use the widget to sort of tell us the reading age of pages, amongst other things. Use it for analytics for service areas as well, and generating reports, dashboards for various metrics, very similar to kind of the kinds of metrics you used to have for Google Analytics. Very similar to that.
Cool. And so do you find it valuable as a council, and it kind of enables you to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is valuable. I mean, if there were cheaper tools in place around and available, we would definitely consider them. Times are hard with money at the moment, and it's something we'd definitely consider. Yeah.
Is there one thing that would make a big difference, do you think? One thing that Site Improve does that others don't, or does it well? Or is it more just the sort of the suite?
Sure, yeah, it's probably just a bundle of them. And we have tried to negotiate with them to say, look, could we have a cut down version of your tool? And but the thing we got back last year from the account manager was, it's all or nothing, which was a bit frustrating, I think. Just to see if we could get the cost down. Didn't work. Yeah.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Anyone else want to share about the tools they use? And Alfie, do you want to come in?
About Site Improve? Hi all. We use Site Improve in Oxfordshire County Council. We find it very useful, and obviously the broken link aspect is great, but what I find helpful is the inventory tool. Essentially, if there's a phone number on your website, you can search for it internally, email addresses, certain document titles, and those sorts of things. So more of the metadata and the cataloging, that's been useful. As has already been said, it is quite expensive. We don't have a large amount of users using it daily, but when we do, it's mostly these very tiny lookups that we need to do. Expensive, but sometimes it's a necessary tool for us, I find.
Cool. Thanks, Alfie. Javik, did you want to come in?
I had my hand raised for a wild card, but I'll back down. But no, on Alfie's point, I think that's what we're interested to know is things like that. Are they naturally available to do in LGD world, like the phone number, reverse lookup, stuff like that? That's, you know, until the team start to look at it. For now, I just don't know. But yeah, just I'd be interested to know. Yeah, what are the specific use cases? Could be obviously be done in LGD.
And I guess building on the insights dashboard that
Yeah,
demoed last time, was sort of bringing in those things, those KPIs and etc. into on a page by page basis. What other things could do it, which would mean maybe you don't need to go with these expensive tools. Rona, you're unmuted. Hello.
Yeah, I just was going to say I'd really appreciate a session on different providers. We're coming up for renewal, I think, in March next year as well. But obviously, we have to give a leading period to say if we're not going to go with the user. We currently use Silktide, which I will say does frustrate me slightly. So I'd really like to know what else other people are doing and whether there's something would suit us better.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Rona. Duly noted. If anyone would be interested in maybe sharing a more in-depth experience of using like Siteimprove or Silktide, then we can do a sort of standalone session. Just you can message me in the chat privately or just drop it in publicly, and I'll follow up and sort of build a case for that. But I think it sounds like that would be a useful session.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Alistair, you're unmuted, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one of my projects I'm going to start at towards the end of this year is to look into Axe, because we were thinking about buying Axe for ourselves. But in order to do that, we'd have to justify the cost of it. So in order to do that, I'll be running a number of tests. So basically take sites that we've already audited before and then see what Axe actually finds compared to what we actually audited it. And we're currently using Silktide as well. So compare it to what Silktide would tell us. So yeah, anyway, I might, once I finish that project, which will be sometime in the new year, then yeah, I'm happy to sort of relate that back so that we've got, yeah, people are interested in that result.
I think that would be great, Alistair. And so that would be specifically around Silktide, for example.
Well, what we've got at the moment is Silktide. We're looking at getting Axe. So it would basically be comparing when I audited so I'll take a couple of sites I've audited before. When I audited them basically manually. So it's basically comparing Axe to a human, like, so how much, because Axe won't catch everything. So it's what percentage of the real failures does actually get. And then also comparing that to what Silktide can spot as well. So so I mean, you know, there could be an argument that none of these are worth the expense if they're missing out most of the issues anyway. So so yes, sort of comparison of Silktide, so human to Axe and Silktide.
Cool. Okay, noted. Thanks, Alistair. That's a lovely offer. Thanks. Anyone else on the tools? Cool. Okay. Noted. I'll start building it up and we'll do something in the new year. Well ahead of, I think people were saying March, April time for renewals, so we'll do it well before then. Thank you for your engagement and thoughts. Tony, there was a couple of things to come back to Louise's question about decorative images. She was asking about those. and that is on the backlog. So do you want to just sort of share a couple of things that's
sure.
going to be worked on or are being worked on, I think.
Sure. So one of the really interesting things about the discussion about third-party tools is for reporting is what features are in there that's not available in Drupal Contrib. There's a lot of work that's going on with the Drupal CMS initiative and the AI initiative to do things like scanning pages to find issues and automatically fix them. So there's a lot of things that are going to come in the months and years ahead. So that's one of the reasons I'm really interested to see what these other tools do that Drupal and Drupal Contrib isn't yet capable of. But what I'm just going to talk about briefly is when you have found an issue, you need to be able to fix it. So it's no good if whatever tool you're using, it flags up an issue and you don't have the possibility in the editor to make the change that you want. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of issues that we are looking at as part of improving media in LocalGov Drupal. So overriding alt text per context. There's this Drupal.org issue, and there's some work being done by Emma at the University of Edinburgh to figure out the kind of ideal UI for this in Drupal. And I'm going to be talking to her about, giving her feedback on how we can achieve this. So the problem is at the moment you have a top level media item and your alt text is inherited by everywhere that's used. So on a web page, you might describe this as a man and two children smiling. But what happens if we crop part of it? Not to say that we would want to crop out any of these faces, but if we did crop it like this, then our alt text no longer describes the image. So there are reasons why we might want to alter that per context. So that's a big challenge that's being worked on. We can potentially do some things in LocalGov Drupal in our paragraphs to be able to override that. So we're going to look at the low-hanging fruit for that and also work on the bigger picture for the long term. But that one's a challenging issue, to say the least.
Before you go on, Ryan's got his hand up. Hey, Ryan.
Go on, Ryan.
Hello. So, sorry, I was being distracted, so I only caught the last bit of that. So in our LocalGov Drupal, we looked at this right at the beginning. So we are able to, it's not if an image is cropped, sorry for the background noise, but if an image is reused in different contexts across the site, we do have an alt text override field.
Yeah.
As well as like a separate caption field as well. So depending on again the context or what you need to say, the alt text field can be shown as the caption field by default. But if you want that caption text to be separate, then that's where you would use the caption field. So happy to go through and show you what we've got if it might be useful. Yeah.
Sounds very useful, Ryan. If we could join forces and have a look at that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, see what you learn and how you implemented it. Definitely would be handy.
I think that was Chicken that did that as well, wasn't it, Ryan? Presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember this from 2 years ago or something.
Allow decorative images. So this is probably an easier one to fix. So at the moment, our banners Let's say that you had a small banner and it was supplementary to the content on the page. You might want to mark that as decorative. So at the moment, we just don't have any field here to be able to do that. So there are several things like that that are being looked at as part of wider changes in media. And then something else that's really interesting is this case. I've just got Haringey's page up at the moment. So they have a card that is also a link. For this scenario, we wouldn't, at the moment, the alt text potentially could be read out by the screen reader. And what we really want there is for the person to have the context of where the page goes to and not what the image is, because that's just a distraction. So there are some other kind of cases like that, and hopefully if people can share with us when these tools, whether it be Site Improve or editorially, flag an issue. If you need to do some customization or you can't fix an issue, then please let the dev team know, and we'll create issues and work on them.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, fix upstream.